sticking with the headlines, and we've discussed this already in our newspaper review in the first hour. The front pages of nearly all the papers, certainly the tabloid papers, reflecting the end of that Coronation Street case. Corrie, Kev is cleared. I've lost 2 years of my life to this hell, but at last it's over, says the front page of the Daily Mirror, with a life-size picture of Mr. Lavell's face grinning at everybody. The Sun, I don't like this headline, but I'll read it. If Carlsberg did acquittals, because there is Mr. Lavell holding a pint of beer, Lavell joys he's not guilty of 12 attacks on girl. The wisdom of being seen drinking like that, almost as if you're celebrating something, is perhaps a little dubious. The Mail, why was he ever charged? And that perhaps leads us into our part of the conversation, because if you do some research into this, as we have, and if you recall, it took the jury 12 counts of child sexual activity, including rape. So this is about as grave as you can get, outside, obviously, of murder, about as grave as you can get. 12 counts dealt with in less than 4 hours. Now, as an old reporter, an old newspaper man in every sense of the word, I've known juries take days on just a couple of charges. So what on earth was the Crown Prosecution Service thinking? The girl claimed the sex attacks began when she was 6 and finished when she was 14. The reality was she did work experience on Coronation Street at 15, which he helped to arrange for her because she wanted to be an actress. She said she was raped and repeatedly sexually assaulted over a period of 8 years. Doctors who examined her found not a single shred of medical evidence to back up the claims. So in this instance, how come Lavell, who, I say again, totally wrongly, but there will always be that sense of, where there's smoke, there's fire, totally unjustly, he'll always have to live it. It would appear ITV, thank the Lord, are going to get him back into Coronation Street. But this man, who his own defence counsel portrayed as an alcoholic adulterer, a drunk, this was to say that he may be many things, but he's not a child rapist. His life is, let's hope, we'll get back on track, although he's got battles with the booze and he goes drinking to celebrate his acquittal. And the girl who put forward these charges, no clue about her. How fair is that? Let's put these points to Martin Campbell, who's a former chief advisor to Ofcom and indeed past chairman of the Broadcast Journalism Training Council. Just explain, Martin, if you would, why is it necessary currently for the alleged victim's identity to be kept secret?
Well, the law changed over 20 years ago now. The one guy who was on similar charges absconded and was then named because at that point both the victim and accused had anonymity. But then it was felt when the details of this gentleman was put out that maybe the accused should be named. And, I think there are two things to say about this. One is that with that case, and indeed with this case, knee-jerk reaction is always wrong. And also, of course, you have to look at the system and say, well, okay, it worked if an innocent man has been found innocent.
It worked, but you not see the point, Martin Campbell, that this man will now labour under this for the rest of his life, despite being wholly innocent.
Of course. My gut feel in this, Nick, is, I've trained journalists over many years, and this is one of the most controversial aspects of reporting law. My gut feel is that, in actual fact, the present laws could and should work. There is a case for these cases to be held in camera, of course. Yes. There is a case for anonymity of both the accused and the victim. But, my gut feel says that if the law is good if it's carried out well, and I think there are two aspects here. The media push the envelope, particularly the tabloids, as far as contempt of court laws is concerned, and that's intrinsically wrapped up with this. They continually push the envelope and are very rarely hauled up for it. And the second, it is the CPS seems to have become a little bit starstruck here. And, and I think both those areas involved in this have lost a little bit of perspective. So it may not just be a case of changing the present laws.
Lastly, Martin, you're speaking, of course, as a former trainer of journalists and Ofcom chief advisor. You're not speaking as a soap star whose life has been put through the mill for the last 2 years.
Well, no, but, celebrity status will always skew opinion because, for a start, people think that they know the celebrity. You know, unfortunately, celebrity status does carry that sort of stigma when it comes to this. Yes, you will be remembered for the last thing you did, and if the last thing you did was appear in court, then that's what you're going to be remembered for.
Martin Campbell, former Chief Advisor to Ofcom, Chairman of the Broadcast Journalism Training Council, thank you.